So, picking up where I left off last time, talking about hierarchy, fraternities, and the structure of power. Now, today I want to talk about the Mafia Code of Silence. Now, previously I talked about the Oath of Celibacy, which, applies to a relatively small a small group of people compared to the Oath of Silence. In other words, many people are under the Oath of Silence, but only a few are under the Oath of Celibacy. So it's more important. Ever have a couple stills from our old buddy Altion Child's video where he's exposing the Hollywood cult? And this is just simply one of the symbols that they always do, and it just refers to the Mafia Code of Silence. That's all this means. When you see the Hollywood people doing it, they are referring to the Mafia Code of Silence. What is the Mafia Code of Silence? Again, you have a group of men leave their families behind and go pledge their allegiance to other men. Right? Now just think about this. If you're a man and you're in one of these groups, maybe you're married with kids, maybe your wife asks you to pick up some groceries on the way home, but you forgot. When you get home, maybe she might be mad at you. If your fraternity or your gang tells you to do something and you don't do it, you might come home and find yourself murdered that night. You might find your house burned down. You might get in a car crash the next day. So the mob oath of silence is an incredibly powerful tool in taking men's allegiance away from their women and children and turning it towards other men. Do you see how basic and powerful that is? Do you see now why these organizations conquered the world? Because they had a monopoly on violence. By creating these groups that have an internal hierarchy of all men who are pledged to each other. Not pledged to their wives and their daughters and their sons. And their first priority, second priority, third priority is their gang, their mafia, their fraternity. That's who their allegiance is to, not to their families. And so now you finally know the answer to the age-old question. How could such a big conspiracy possibly be kept hidden? Now you know the answer to that age-old question that people who love to deny that there's any conspiracies going on. Well, first of all, it's not a secret everyone knows about. Second of all, this is how they keep the secrets. Because those who don't keep the secrets, bad things happen to them. Gangsters make the world go round. That's a fact, because the entirety of what we know as his story is just the story of these different gangs and these different religious and different fraternal orders fighting for power. That's all it is, while everyone else has been written out. The women, the children, the men who wouldn't join these gangs, and of course the indigenous people who are sustainable. They're the ones they really want to get rid of. There's nothing sustainable about the Mafia Code of Silence, but it is the true story of how the sausages were made, how the conspiracy was built, and how women were written out of every institution of power that exists in the modern world. It's the Great Plague.